Everyone, welcome back once again. So this is where we left in the last video. We have done with the backend API and all the setups. Now we're going to start working on the sidebar. So let's make on the big screen and now we can simply start working on it. So let's start the application. So click here and let me take you to the package.json file, and this time we are running only front end because we're going to work on the front end, and we have already checked in the last video that the backend is working absolutely fine. So simply type npm run dev, and it's going to start our application on locals 3000. Reload the page, and there it is. We have the search, header, sidebar, and home. So that looks good. Now what I'm going to do is let's make this screen side by side so we can see that which component we are working on. So close this one, close this one. This is what we go to work next. Now let's do one thing. Let's come back and import a couple of things from React. So we need use state, and here we're going to create a couple of variables. So let's create a variable called active, and this is going to tell us that which component is active right now, so we can apply the CSS. By default, we're going to open the home page, and if I show you the inspect element, let's bring this down and let me try to expand it on a desktop screen. So that's how it's going to look, and this is the first variable. Let's come here, let's create a array because we have to display the side menu, array 1. So we'll have the menu, and this is called home. Then we'll have the icon, and it's coming from the image folder. There we have the icon called light icon and light/17 png. So you can simply come and you can check. I have provided all the icons, like you will have the dark mode and the light mode, but in this I'm going to use the light mode icon. So all of these icons you will have in the light mode, which you can implement. If you want to go with the light theme, you can take the dark mode. So this looks good. Now simply replicate this couple of times, and let's change the name. So this one is going to be trade token, and change the icon. This one is 14. Change this to top exchange tokens, and this one is 7, and change this to networks, and this one is 15. So we have this 4 menu in the first array. Now let's create another one. Simply replicate that and change this to array 2, and we have to change the name. So this one is going to be called add token. Change the icon to 10. This one is going to be trading, and this one is called pricing, and this is profile. So let's replicate it one more time, and this one is going to be add token pair. Now simply change the icon to 19. This one is 4. This one is 16. This one is 6, and 10 is fine. So we got 2 array. Now we can come back here, and if I go back to the index file, here we have to see. So this is what we have. One thing you have noticed that this is the exact name we have given to the menu. So this is the trade token, because this is what we're going to provide in our active state component. This one is top exchange token, this one is network, and this is the exact name I have given to my side menu. So close this one, and now we have this 2 array. We have the active state. That looks fine. Now we're going to come back here and let's create a function called logout. So user will click and they will log out from our application. So let's create a function, and I will say local storage remove item, and I want to remove the ID, authentication ID, which we are storing for the authentication purpose. So we'll say crypto auth token, and we're going to simply remove that variable because this is what we are storing in our local storage. So that's the logout function, and after that we're going to simply reload the page, and let's save it. Okay, I'm getting this error, not a big deal, and cut this and paste inside the function. That's fine, looks good. So far things are pretty good. This is how it's going to look on the mobile device. Now we're going to start working on the JSX. So let's remove this. Let's take a class called tech web fan left. So this is the convention I'm following for the main component, so make sure to follow the exact way, and we'll say left panel. You can see you have seen the blink. Then inside that we're going to take a div. It will have a class called mobile dash extra closer. Will come down, and it's going to be a block element. You can see we are not into this particular div. Let's come down and let's create another div. It will have a class called left panel dash logo. If I make on the big screen, let's see, this is how it's going to look. And inside that we have to display our logo. So we'll take a anchor. It will have a class called fan dash logo. Inside that we'll take a span. It will have a class called full logo. Inside that we'll take our image, and the image is already given, image slash light logo png, and we'll have a class called desktop dash logo. So that looks good. You can see this is the colorful sidebar we have. Looks good. Now simply replicate that and change this to retain logo. Okay, remove that one and simply call it retain logo. There it is. You can see the logo we have here. Now simply copy and replicate this entire spam with the image tag. And now this one is going to be the short logo, because we have two different type of logo, one for the desktop and the other one is for the mobile. And we're going to change this to icon. So we'll say logo dash desktop mini. That's one we have. Now here we have to do the changes, and I'll say crypto.png. So that's for the mobile device. Let's fine. We're done with this, and the logo and the class is going to be the same. So we got this two logo for mobile and for desktop. Now come back, we'll take an anchor and we'll have a class called fan dash dash. So here we are using two dash. That's the thing which you have to keep in mind. When I'm using two dash, you have to use the two dash. If you use one, the styling will not work. So we'll say fan dash dash closer, and it will have another class called fan dash dash icon button, and we'll have a desktop dash closer. Inside that we're going to take the image and we're going to provide the image. So we'll say light icon light and 22 png. So that's the icon, and you can see that's the arrow we have. So simply replicate this. Let's have a class first. So we call it fan dash dash svg, and now we can simply copy and paste here, and we have to do only changes for the mobile here. So we can call it, let's say mobile and closer. So there it is. You can see we have this beautiful icon which is working fine. You can click and you can open our sidebar and on both the devices. So if I try to bring it out, you can see here looks fine. So this is our arrow tab. We got it. Now we can come back here. Let's come out of div. Let me give this comment. I'll call it component. Let's close that one, and here we're going to take a div. It will have a class called left panel dash content. Inside that I'll take a sidebar. So this is the reusable component I'm going to create, which will allow us to generate our menu, sidebar menu. In that I have to send a couple of props. So we'll set this set active component to be set active component, and then I have to set this set active, that I will send at a prop, and I will set the active state as well, and I have to set the array. So we have two different array. So I'll say array arm1, and I will set the title, and in that I can call it, let's say start here. So this is the component which we have to create. So the best way to create, you can create in a separate file, but I'm going to create on top. So come back on top and let's come here. Let's create this particular component. I'll say sidebar component, and it's going to be a normal function. So in that we're going to receive all the props we have sent. So let's make it instant call. So first one is going to be the array, the second one is going to be the title, then we have the set active, and we have the active state, and we have the set active component. So these are the props we are receiving. Inside that we have to build the JSX, which we're going to render. So let's take a div. I'll take a div, and it will have a class called nav dash group. Inside that I'll take h2. It will have a class called group dash dash title, and it will have the title. So we'll say title. There it is. You can see our loader is working absolutely fine. So it's working good. Now let me do, so just me wait. So come back here and let me reload the page, because it will, I have to close this one, reload the page, and you can see we have this sidebar. Everything's working fine. If you click, it will close, it will open, close. So it's 100% responsive. You can see it's getting collapsed and it's getting expanded. So that looks pretty fine. So that's a good starting point. And here it's also working fine in the mobile device. You can see you can simply close and you can open that. Now come back here. Now we can take a UL. It will have a class called group dash dash list. Inside that we'll take a dynamic because we have the array. So let's render that. I'll call it map. Inside that I will take the menu. I will take the index and I have to make it instant return. So we'll take a li. It will have a key. It's going to be index. It will have an on-click function, and on the on-click function we have to simply change the set active component. So user will click and we'll open that specific component. So in that we'll pass the menu, and inside that we'll display the anchor and we'll display the menu. So let's attach our on-click function, and in that we're going to simply change the state, the active state. So I'll call this menu.menu, and it will have a class because on the base of that we have to display the active class. So before we add that, let's display the menu. So I'll take a span. It will have a class called icon. Inside that we'll display our image, the icon we want to display for each menu. So we'll take this menu icon, and there it is. Now we have to attach a class for the icon. So we'll have a class called fn dash dash svg. You can see it looks pretty good. Now we can come out of that and we'll take another span. It's going to have a class called text and we'll display our menu. There it is. Looks pretty good. Not a big deal. It's having really great. Now what I'm going to do is let's attach an active state. So let's take a class and we'll take this dynamic class. We'll say that dynamic class will say fan dash dash tool tip, and it will have a dynamic class as well. So we'll say if active is equal to menu means whichever the user is clicking, if that's the menu is selected, then I want to apply this particular styling active, otherwise I don't want to apply. You can see the active state is triggered and we have this highlighted active state on the home component. That looks good. Now let's come back here and let's that's the active state. Let's come here, let's attach one more class. I'll call it, let's say, menu dash dash item. Let's take this data position because this is the name which we have to give because in our JavaScript, and I'll call this right because it's going to be come from the right side, and we'll have the title which is the menu. Pretty good. And that's our, if you click, okay, I'm getting this particular error on the network. So this looks fine, but here we are getting this particular error. So if I click, I'm getting this warning. Maybe I have done some sort of name conflict, that's why we are getting this, but for time being we'll just go like that. So you can see everything's working fine. The active states, all our things look good. So let's bring it here. Now this looks fine. Now what I'm going to do is, this is the component we have built. Now all we have to do is to simply call the component and pass the relevant information. So simply close that one, close this one, simply come back here, and I'm going to replicate the same thing. So I'm going to have one more menu. Simply copy this one, and that's what we have to paste here and change the data. So the only two data we have to change, the title and the array. So let's call this one to user tools, and this will be the array 2. Save it, and here we have the list. Looks fine. It display all the data. So we are done with the sidebar. Now let's create one more component because it's going to be the logout button. So let's take a div. It will have a class. We'll call it nav dash group. Inside that we'll have a h2. It will have a class called group dash dash title, and we'll display the title called control. Inside that we'll take a ul. It will have a class called group dash dash list. Inside that we'll take a li. It will have a class called, let's say, it will have an on-click function, and on the on-click function we're going to simply call the logout function we have built. So this is the function which we have to call. Simply copy, and that's what we can simply pass. And here we can simply call it the anchor. Remove this one, and it will have a class. So let's call it fn dash dash tooltip. It will have a menu dash dash item. Inside it will have a data position. Let's call it position, and we'll say right. It will have a title called log out. There it is. Now we can simply call the name. We'll take a span. It will have a class called icon. So we'll display our image for the logout, which is inside the image folder. And let's get the light-10 png. There it is. And it will have a class called fan-svg, and we'll display our text. So it will have a class called text, in that we can display the logout. Okay, I have to wrap as a string. There it is. Now looks fine. So far things look good. If I make on the big screen, you can see this is the entire sidebar we have. Nice. We can simply scroll down and we can click all the component, and that looks fine. If we click, you can see the browser reload, means we have successfully removing the key which we are storing in the local storage for authentication. It's also working fine. Now this is good. If I click on the network, we are getting this particular error, and I know why it's happening. So just wait, I'll show you. So here I found the issue. You can see this is the variable I have taken. So if I reload, if I click, I'm getting this error. So if I come back here, this is because of this. So here we have taken a variable called networks, and the component name is also network. So I'm going to make it small n, and that will fix the issue. The moment I'll do it, it will fix the issue. If I reload the page, and now we'll not have that issue. Okay, because we're having the duplicate name, and because of that we were getting that issue. So our sidebar is ready. It looks good. Now we can come back here, close this one, and close this one, close this one, and close this one, and looks good. Now what we can do is come back here, and now we can start working on the search and the header. So before we start with the search, let's click on that, and let's make side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. So let's bring it here. Let's open this one, and there it is. Pretty fine. That's the header component. Let's receive a couple of things from React. Use state, use effect. Now we have to import. So let's receive the props. So what we have sent the network name, and we have this set active component, and that's what we can receive. Looks good. Now we can come back here. Let's take a state variable. So we can take this user detail, because when the user will create his account and he will provide all the detail, we're going to store that in the local storage, and from there we can simply get it. So we have this user details. It's going to be an object, and we can come there. We'll take a user membership, and these are the two state variable we have. Now we can come back here. We'll take an use effect, and now we have to get the data from the local storage. So we can take this const user, we'll say json.parse, and we'll take this local storage dot get item, and we have to assign the key which we're going to assign to store the data. So this is what I'm going to assign for user profile. So this is the variable which I'm going to assign, and it's going to be have all the data of the user. Let's do the same thing for the membership. So let's call this JSON parse, and here we're going to call this user membership. This is the name what we have given in the login and the sign in. So this looks fine. Now we can come back here. We'll take this set user membership, in that we have to simply pass the user membership, so it will be stored in the state variable. And same thing we have to do with the user detail. So let's say user details. That's fine. So we have set the user details and the memberships, and now we're going to start working on the JSX. So let's take a class. It will have this tech web dash fen dash header, and let's remove this one. We'll have a div. It will have a class called header dash dash left. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called fen dash dash token dash info. Inside that we'll take a span. It will have a class called token dash summary. Inside that we'll take a span. It will have a class called count. We'll say A, A stand for account, and now we have to display the network which user have connected. So it's going to be a dynamic data, and we have this network name. That's what we will display. Looks good. Let's change this to text. Good. Now if I close, right now you cannot see anything. Let me expand it. Okay, so let's try to work. Continue. Now we can come back here. Let's come down. We'll take a dynamic block. We'll say user membership if it's not equal to not member, because by default this is what we'll have. If user will buy, we're going to change the status of the user membership. So we'll say if user membership is not equal to not member, means user have purchases some of our services. So we'll take this anchor and we'll say on click, and we're going to say set active component to the trading component, means user have taken so he can start trading, and it will have a class called token dash upgrade, and we'll have this take web dash fan dash button, and in that we can say, let's call it we'll say take a span, it will have a text called start trade. This is when the user will purchase our membership, but if he hasn't purchased our membership, then we have to display the upgrade component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply copy this one and paste here, and all we have to do is to change this to upgrade, and we have to change the component name to pricing, so user can go to the pricing component and they can purchase our membership. So if I make on the big screen, you can see this is the account, and here we have this upgrade because user haven't bought our membership. So that's also working fine. Looks good. Now let's make it side by side. Okay, let me make side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. There it is. Okay, let's do the inspect element, and there it is. We have, let me try to drag it here, and there it is. Now you can see that, so we can see what we are working on. So we are done with the button, and you can simply open, you can close, that's also working fine. Now we can come down and we have to work on the search and the profile image. So we can come down here, we'll take a div, it will have a class called header dash dash right. Inside that we'll take a div, it will have a class called fun dash dash nav dash bar. Inside that we'll take a div, it will have a class called bar dash dash item bar dash dash item dash search. Inside that we'll have an image, so we'll go to the image folder, then we'll go into the image icon folder, and from there we have to get the light dash 5 image. So this is, and we have a class called fun dash svg, so fun dash dash svg. So there it is, small icon. Now we can come down here and we'll take a div, it will have a class called item dash pop. It will have the data attribute called data position, we'll call it right, and inside that we'll take the input, it will have a placeholder called search. There it is. Right now this is not working, so this is what we have. Now we can come down here, we'll take a div, it will have a class called bar dash dash item bar dash dash item dash user. Inside that we'll take the anchor, and let's remove this one. It will have an on click function, and we'll say set active component to the profile, because we're going to display the user profile, and it will have a class called, let's say, user dash opener fun dash dash tool tip. Inside that we're going to have the image, so we'll display the user. So we'll have this user detail image. Once the user will upload his image, that's what we're going to display. If it has no image, then we're going to display the default image, means the logo. So we have to get into the image folder, and from there we have to get our crypto.png image. There it is. Now come back here and simply cut this. So I see the problem, so simply cut this particular div, and that's what you can simply bring it here. And from here, so this is the one component, let's cut this one as well and wrap this in this entire div, save it, and there it is, the styling is applied. So make sure to do these changes. Okay, this is the entire component, and which is inside the f dash dash nav bar. So this is the two components, looks good, and that's the thing we have to do here. You can see everything is looking pretty fine. Our header component is working, but still our click event is not working on the search bar, so there is some problem which we have to look into. So looks fine, let's close this one, and now we can start working on the search bar, because we haven't built the search bar. So what we expect to open the search component, so we have to work on the first. Now we have to work on the search bar. Now come back here, let's make it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on, and that looks pretty good to me. Let's bring it here. We have the icon, everything looks pretty good to me, and let's start the classes. So we'll take this called take web dash fun dash search bar. Inside that we'll take a div, it will have a class called search dash dash bar. Inside that we'll take an input, and it will take the text, and it will have a class called search dash dash input. it will have a placeholder called search here. There it is. Now we can come back here and we'll take an image and we're going to have our icon. So we'll go into the light icon slash light, and it's a 5.png. So the search icon. Okay, it's not opening. Just continue working. And that's the image we have. Now it will have a class called fun dash dash svg, and it will have the search dash dash icon class. Looks good. Now we can come back here. We'll take a span. We'll have a class called search and dash dash closer. Inside that, we'll take an image. It will have the light icon, and we have to get the icon. So we'll say light dash 18 png. So that's our close icon. It will have a class called fun dash dash svg. So that's the second, the close one. Now we can come out of that div and let's take the div. It will have a class called search dash dash result. It will have a div. It will have a class results dash dash title. Inside that, we'll take this result. We'll come out of the div and we'll take a div. It will have a class called result results dash dash list. Inside that, we'll take a UL. It will have a li and it will have anchor, and we're going to simply redirect to the user wherever location we want, and we can provide the link of the place where we want to redirect the user about the relevant information. So we can say artificial intelligence. So that's the first thing I'm providing, the relevant resources. Now all I have to do is to simply replicate this couple of times, and I'm going to change the text. So this one is going to be like something learn about the impact of AI crypto trading bot. This will be the welcome to the blockchain coder developer guide, and this one is the take the blockchain advanced development course. I hope you guys have checked the course which I have, where we have learned every single thing which you have to know about the blockchain development. So make sure to check that out. So this looks fine. That's the only thing we have to do here. We have all the components, and that's the search component is absolutely ready. Now if we come back here in the header, and I have noticed few things. So this is the account, and here we have the sidebar, and here we have to add one more thing. So if I click here, nothing is happening. And the reason why it's not happening, because we have to attach a function. So the rest would be fine, no issue we have here. So come back here. Let's do one. Come back here and let's take a div. It will have a class called item dash opener, and it will have a title is going to be search. Simply cut this one and wrap this entire image inside the div. Save it, and now it's going to work. You can see the styling is applied, and if you click, it's going to open the sidebar, and here you can simply search and hit enter. It's going to open the list where user can click and redirect and have all the information. Pretty good. I hope you guys can appreciate that. So this search bar is looking absolutely fine. If you check on the mobile device, that's also working fine. You can simply search it. So we're done with this. Looks pretty good, and we are done with this entire search bar as well. So we are done with the most of the important component. So we have done with the search header, we are done with this preloader, moving menu, sign up, we are done. We are done with the stew, we are done with the sidebar. Now we have to work on the home component. So get into this, and this is what we're going to work now. So let's split the screen so we can see what exactly we are working on. And looks fine. Let's bring it here, and this looks fine. You can see pretty beautiful. This one is also good. Now we can come back here, and first thing we have to do is we have to import a couple of things. So let's call it internal import, and we have to import the footer, and that's coming from our index component. Then we're going to simply apply the classes. We'll say tech web dash fn dash content. Inside that, you can see there is a home. Let's remove that one. We'll have a div. It will have a class called tech web dash fun dash page. Inside that, we're going to take the div. It will have a class called tech web dash fun dash home. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called section dash home. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called section dash left. Inside that, we're gonna take a div. It will have a class called tech web dash fun dash title and dash holder. Inside the div, we'll take a h1 and it will have a class called text. Let's call it title, and we'll call it automate your crypto trading. There it is. You can see we have this nice message. Now we can take a paragraph. We'll come out of the div. We'll take a paragraph and we'll have the description. This stand for description. And then we're going to display our text message. We'll say crypto trading financial bot for buying and selling crypto. That looks good. Pretty good. So this is what we have here. Look good here. Now we can come out of this div. Now let's take a div. It will have a class called tech web dash fun dash interactive dash list. Inside that we'll take a UL. In that we'll take a li, and then we have the div. It will have a class called item, and inside the div we'll take a, let's bring it here. That looks good. And we'll take a, let's say we'll take an anchor, and we don't want to redirect anywhere, so let's remove that. Inside the anchor we'll take a span. It will have a class called icon. There it is. Inside that we'll take the image, and we have to get into the image folder. We have to get into the folder light icons, and then we have to get the 29 png. So this is the icon. Let's assign a class called fn-svg. So this looks pretty good. You can see this looks wonderful. Now what we have to do, come back out of this span, take a h2. It will have a class called title, and let's assign called buy any token. Then we can come out of this h2. Then we'll take a paragraph. It will have a class called desc, and we'll display short description. We'll take this lorem dummy text and remove few lines. There it is. So this is the first component. Now let's display the icon. So we'll come back here. We'll take a span. It will have a class called arrow, and we'll have an image slash light icon slash light icon 22 png. So there it is. Now let's assign a class called fn-svg. So there it is. We have the icon. Now we got the icon. Now what we can do is come back here. So this looks good. This is the first component we have. Now I'm going to simply replicate this. So this is the one. Simply copy and replicate it one more time. All we have to do is to change the icon and the name. So there, this is what we have. So this is the second one. Let's change the icon for the $sign, and here we have to change the text. So instead of buy any token, we can call it sell any token. And here we have the, this is fine, don't need to do any changes here. So this is the two card component, because this is the two service we are providing. Now come here, let's leave two div after ul end, and we can start working on the next component. So we'll take a div. It will have a class. We'll call it section dash right. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called company dash info. Inside that you can see, I hope you guys can see that it's mostly covered with the download part, but it's there. We are getting some space from the bottom. We'll take an image. It will have a image called light icon light logo .png. So that's going to be our image. Now we can come here. We'll take the paragraph. It will have a class called fun dash dash animate, and this one is an animating paragraph text. So when the page will reload, this will get triggered. So we'll say text, and in that we're going to simply display our dummy text. There it is. You can see the logo is there, crypto bot. Now wait, this is what I have. If I remove this, you can see this is the text which is displaying. So that's also looking fine. Let's come down here. We'll take a HR because we have to provide a horizontal line. So that's what we have. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. It will have a class called fn dash dash members. Inside that we'll take a div. It will have a class called active item. In that we'll take a span. It will have a class called circle. Replicate that and change this to text, and in that we're going to display dummy text, or you can display the number of user you have in your application from your database. So that's what we have here. Let's call this online. So that's one we have. Now I'm going to come here, take a div, it will have a class called item, and simply copy and paste here and change this to member and change this number. That looks good. We got our members. Now we can come here and we can display the footer. So there it is. If I make on the big screen, if I see, okay, something's not good, maybe there is problem in the alignment, but things are looking pretty good to me. These are pretty good to me. Okay, the animation, the over effect, all are looking good. And here I can notice the problem. So this is what we have. So this is the section left component. If I take this, I have to cut this one and I have to paste here. That's the first thing you have to do. So this is the main div. Now we have to do is close this one and we have to cut this div and we have to wrap this component as well. So this is going to be the two internal component and this one is the main component. So if you save it, you're going to have the styling perfectly. You can see this is the highlighting and we have the two services. Now we have to bring this crypto trading bot and text right up here on the right hand side. So this animation is working fine. Now this is the section left is done. Now this is the section home and here we have this one. So simply cut this one and wrap this inside the section home, and if you do that, we have this perfectly aligned. If you reload the page, you can see the animation is working fine and looks good. Perfect. If you click, you can simply open this and that looks good. You can switch back to the different components. That's also happening. Now we can start working on the footer component, and fairly is going to be a small component. So let's do that very quickly. Let's bring it side by side so we can see what exactly we are working on. So let's bring that one. It's 100% responsive as well. So there it is. Now let's come here. Let's take a footer tag. It will have a class called tech web dash fun dash footer. Inside that, let's remove this. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called tech web dash fun dash footer dash content. Inside that, we'll take a div. It will have a class called copy right. Inside that, we'll display 2024, the blockchain coder, and make sure you have to mention us when you are using this application. That would be great. That's the copyright. And now we can display the, take a paragraph and put this copyright inside a paragraph. Now we can come back here. Let's take a div. It will have a class called menu item. Inside that, we'll take a UL and it's going to have a li. It will have the anchor and we have to display to menu. So let's display this term of service and replicate this. We're going to have one more one. Simply replicate that, and this is what we're going to call it. Let's say privacy policy. So this is the entire footer menu we have. If I make on the big screen, let's make it. Okay, there is some problem in the styling. That's what we have to fix. It's not perfectly aligned. So things are looking pretty good. I have to see what I have done. So come back here and I notice the problem. It's called items. That's the thing. Simply come here. You can see the styling is applied, and now I have to do one more changes. So the allies we have, and this is what we have called fun cutter, and here we have this one. So this is the tech web, and here I have made the spelling mistake. It's called tech. We have an extra a. Remove that one and save it, and that's working fine. You can see we got our footer, we got the copyright, and we got the to menu, and that's, we have done the entire home page. If you reload the page, the animation is working fine, the sidebar, the search component is working fine, the over effect, you can switch to different components, that's also working fine. I hope you guys can appreciate that how things are coming together and how beautiful it looks. It's 100% responsive for all the devices. You can open, you can close, you can expand, you can close that. Looks good. So that's wonderful. Simply close this one, close this one. So we are done with this home component. Now we have to work on the trade, and that's what we're going to work next. So come back here, and that's the only thing I want to cover so far in this video. I hope you guys have understood that how we have built the entire logic and how we have built the entire component. In the next video, we're going to work on our next component. So let's move to that.